To be in mainstream fantasy publishing, you have to be a complete whack job, utter extreme leftist. Welcome to real fantasy news, everybody. This is what's going on in the industry right now. Super disappointing. I actually just went to Salvatore and Tracy Hickman's feeds on Facebook the other day. Complete disaster. It's just like never meet your idols type of situation. Now, these guys are responsible for some of the most interesting fantasy of the last 30, 40 years in Dragonlance and Forgotten Realms. And they have lost their minds. They are just going full Trump, 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 Elon, 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 Elon. Like, I mean, you would not even know that they write fantasy if you follow their Facebook feeds. It's so sad to watch. But this is what you do. I guess to stay relevant within mainstream publishing, like you have to virtue signal like this. I've talked to authors who are actually current, bestsellers, who are not allowed to talk to me, who tell me that it's very much a political fest in New York publishing, and that you better toe that line. It's to the point with these people that even in 2016, like if you were voting for Bernie and not voting for Hillary because it was her turn and yay feminism, you would get outcast even within those circles. It's that much of a purity spiral within mainstream fantasy. Of course, it's only gotten worse, and if you are in any way a centrist or a Republican or anything other than an extreme leftist, you just get called out and destroyed. They'll work to personally destroy you. Maybe that's why these guys are doing this, because I always thought Tracy Hickman back in the day was more on the conservative side, but he's fully lost his mind, which we'll get into in just a moment. Please hit the like and subscribe button as we talk about all things in fantasy. Of course, we are here trying to fight the culture and what's going on with mainstream corporate fantasy and the like. I have my own series called The Adventures of Baron von Monocle, and this is it right here. For Steam & Country is the first book, and it's about an airship crew that adventures, they quest, they fight monsters, they get embroiled in a crazy war that builds up a lot, and it is really the definitive steampunk. I don't think there's much out there in steampunk fantasy. Maybe Jim Butcher's book, but he never finished that series, I don't think. And that's it. Like, I mean, it's just basically the two of our series out there, and then a lot of it's like, steampunk got thrown into the romantasy categories, right? So if you want to have a cool world that's very, very different and neat, check this out, guys. There's no woke stuff in here. Just a lot of fun like you would have gotten from these men's book back in the day. And we're doing a lot of awesome stuff as well, so I hope you'll follow along and join us, because I'm one of those prolific writers who, if you are a fan, you're in a lot of luck, because I'm coming out with books very regularly, which you're going to love. Check it out. It's in the description below. This is available on ebook, print, and audio. Really gets cool. Like, especially in books 2 and 3, I amp up the pulp elements, and then I amp up like the heavy war in book 3. Really cool stuff. Grab it today in the description below, and thank you for reading, my friends. All right, so Forgotten Realms author R.A. Salvatore joins Dragonlance co-creator Tracy Hickman in a full slate of Trump derangement on Facebook, as the fantasy authors can't seem to focus on anything other than the new administration. This is more common than not in fantasy fiction. Like I said, you kind of have to have these crazy woke politics in order to get there. In the 80s and 90s, if you don't know who they are, you couldn't walk into a bookstore fantasy section without seeing books by these men. Many bookstores had a full shelf of Dungeons & Dragons tie-in fantasy dedicated to the subgenre. Do you remember walking into those bookstores, Borders, back in the day? Or Crown Books? You guys remember Crown Books? Wow, that really brings it back. You'd go there, and like there'd be the fantasy section. There'd be a full shelf of this stuff. It was really awesome to check out. If you were a fan, you'd just be like thrilled. And my favorite was Salvatore's Dark Elf trilogy. If you've not read that, this is some of the most definitive fantasy out there. Can't call them dark elves anymore, because that reminds people of black people, and that's not very woke of you. Oh my gosh, they've destroyed the drow, but that's another story all in and of itself. In recent years, these writers have become completely political. Both of these gentlemen seem to be unable to talk about anything but lambasting President Trump on their Facebook pages. It's a sad state of affairs since, as you know, if you followed the channel, Dungeons & Dragons has gone so woke in recent iterations, causing the player base that loved their books in the first place to abandon the game and the settings they loved growing up. One would think that the authors who created these worlds would see how wokeism has destroyed the hobby, has destroyed the bookshelves, has destroyed the book industry all the way around. Maybe they'd stand with their audiences and actually write stuff that their audiences want, and actually, have some sort of intelligence to them. It doesn't make sense. But nope. R.A. Salvatore, of course, is probably one of the worst out there. If you follow his Facebook feed here, it's really, really crazy. This is one recently where he goes, "Never did I imagine the speed of this post-World War II shift in world war order." They're so obsessed with World War II, something that happened 80 years ago and does not apply to any German socioeconomic and socialism politics don't apply to anything that's going on. There's like zero in common with the Trump administration and the National Socialists of Germany. Actually, Salvatore would probably like all the policies that particular political party had. He'd probably be in line with them, believe it or not. The price of eggs was the price of democracy, I guess. Look at how melodramatic they are. Okay, bro. Literally, we had a democratic election. Literally, people voted and then got this guy in because they were sick of all your BS that you keep on trying to shame people, ruin people's lives over how they vote. It's really obnoxious, and we're sick of your crazy literal fascism is what it is within the entertainment industry. I hate to go there and use those words, but it is actually an apt descriptor of what these people do and this type of social pressure that they put on everybody else. So yeah, guess what? They were screwing up things economically. They were screwing up things socially. The United States has been crap over the last 4 years, and it's all been because of your party and your policies that you've been pushing, R.A. Salvatore. It has. So we voted differently. It was exactly how it works. And yes, democracy was intact because we voted. That's how it works too. You should applaud it. Remember, you're all in on democracy, right? Except for when you're not. That's how it kind of works. Now, the new alliance of nations will not include the USA. New alliance of nations? Who are we even talking about? This is really ridiculous. They need us more than we need them for sure. We're funding NATO, which we shouldn't be doing. It's ridiculous, and it always has been ridiculous that we're paying for that kind of stuff, and that my tax dollars go to that. We're absolutely crazy. Next part, I guess Trump is turning off some EV chargers at federal buildings, which I guess these people were just using these to charge their cars at federal tax dollars expenses. So they will plug into the grid there, plug into that there. Well, you know, these companies have electric bills. These buildings have electric bills. Who do you think pays for them? Well, guess what? We do as the tax dollar. So it doesn't make sense to have them. That makes sense to shut them off. People should pay for their own electricity, all right? And I have to pay for my own gas on my real gas car. The federal government doesn't just do that. Maybe you should do that. I don't know. But here it is. If they're interested in cutting costs, why would Trump shut down EV chargers at federal buildings? Well, I just told you why, you moron. That's a pretty simple question right there. 8,000 of them paid by taxpayers. Well, we shouldn't have paid for that. That's ridiculous by itself. The public and employees who use it pay for it, as in the chargers recoup the money for the government. That's not how a lot of these work, guys. Not at all. There's some that work like that, but not all of them work like that. It's ridiculous. The government EVs, which we paid for, are far cheaper to operate and reportedly going to be sold off. Okay, so it is not making money. Clearly, that's why they do it. It is costing the taxpayers money to subsidize it from the government buildings. That's why. And then we'll sell off the equipment and actually make money on the back end. Makes a lot of sense. It's all out of spite and a wink wink to oil companies. Now, in the same breath, all of these people say that Trump is like Elon Musk. Elon Musk is the real president. If that was the case, who actually benefits from EVs and Tesla, and more than Elon Musk? If this was the case in this, they'd be doing this for Tesla. So obviously not the case. And so these people just react based on emotion and stupidity all the time and never actually have any good points. But despite that, Tracy Hickman says R.A. Salvatore is one of the smartest people he knows. Thousands of careers destroyed, vital research halted, national park treasures closed. I mean, they're acting like the apocalypse is happening when it's really not. It's just been a lot of fun to watch. And of course, we're hoping that we all get tax refunds this year based on the money that's not going to be spent, which would be amazing. Now, Hickman went even further and starts ranting about white privilege because this general got removed as chief of staff and they replaced him. Well, it's not white privilege. It's just called a person is better qualified for the job and doing the job. What's been happening at the military the last 4 years? It's been a train wreck, and we know it's been a train wreck. Every Army active duty that I talk to and veteran and any other branch actually that I talk to as well says it's terrible. They hate the higher ups. They hate everything that's been going on. They've had to shut their mouths and otherwise they can get fired because that's how it works. You just follow orders in the military. But other than that, Like, it's been a complete travesty, and we know it's been a complete travesty. It has nothing to do with being white or not, but that's how these people think. They're obsessed with race all the time. This is Tracy Hickman. Again, absolutely crazy that the Dragonlance author has gone this far. So this is just like a sampling of their feed from yesterday. Like, if you go back and you look at these guys' feeds, this is all they do all day, every day, is just terminally get mad at the internet, and that's what's going on. I mean, try to work on saving the fantasy genre, guys. It needs a lot of help. If you don't know what's going on with it, it's all romantasy now. What's a cool girl, Tracy Hickman? I don't even know what that is. I guess that's the favorite book genres now. It's all women's porn, and like fantasy is dying on the vine. You guys had the talent. Do something about it. I don't know. But that's what we try to do over here, guys, is actually change the culture for the better. So I'm glad you're here. Hit the like and subscribe button. What do you think about this? Leave a comment down below. And please check out my fiction, guys. This is a lot of fun. No woke politics in here, and you'll absolutely enjoy it. It's in the description below. Ebook, print, and audio are all available for you. Thank you for being there.